In the quiet pastures of America's heartland, beneath the vast skies that stretch over herds of cattle and fields of grain, a crisis is unfolding. It is not a sudden storm or a pestilence, but a slow erosion, an invisible threat to the food on our tables and the health of the animals that sustain us. Veterinarians, the guardians of livestock, the first line of defense against outbreaks, the caretakers of rural life, are disappearing. Retirements outpace replacements. Young graduates, weighed down by debt, turn away from food animal practice, drawn instead to urban clinics and companion pets. And in the meantime, thousands of cattle, pigs, and chickens are left under the watch of too few hands. In this episode, we'll dive into the generational story behind this crisis, how baby boomers are retiring, millennials are burning out, and Gen Z is choosing a different path. We'll explore what this means for farmers, consumers, and the future of our food security. This is not just a veterinary crisis, it is a food crisis in the making.
Welcome to the Retrospect podcast, a show where people come together from different walks of life and discuss a topic from their generation's perspective. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Stoney.
Hello.
And Jason.
Hello, everyone.
So Stoney, a couple weeks ago, had a really cool idea that I think is really awesome, and that's what is happening today. We're going to go back to old form a little bit, and none of us here except for Jason knew what the topic was. So this is the first time that Stoney and I have heard what today's topic is going to be on. And so this is interesting to hear about. Have you had like do you know people in your life that have...
No, actually, Tracy came across this and goes,
okay,
Jason, this actually might be a good topic for a podcast. And I went, yeah, I think you're right on that. So I said, I think I'm going to use that as my my little surprise topic for today. So, as the intro showed, the topic is the veterinary crisis, which
right.
I had no idea that we were in such dire straits in the United States right now regarding large animal vets and the problems that's causing. I mean, we all are aware of, these, everybody was talking about remember the egg prices made the news, they ended up destroying tons of hens, because this disease was running rampant through the flock. Well, I had no idea that we just have so few farm vets that are kind of keeping watch over this stuff. And this is happening more and more often now. And it's simply because you got vets having to travel long distances to reach these farms out in these rural areas that, in essence, that's where our food comes from. And so I thought it would be interesting to kind of dive into this a little bit and to kind of figure out what's going on. Why is the profession just not drawing the people it once did to go into these into these farms, into these areas to tend to cattle and the horses and pigs and chickens and all the things that we think of with a farm?
I think at least in my circle, all the people that I know that have gone to be veterinarians have gone to like small town clinics. Gone to like local, right?
Like the dog, the dog, and a cat, or a bird, or whatever the case may be. But it's I had no idea. Some of the stats I was able to pull on this. There's only 3 to 4% of new veterinary school graduates in the U.S. pursue livestock or other food science practice areas.
Is it because there's not like an incentive or something, or like?
I think it's the cost of school. I think it's just going.
For fiscal year 2025, the USDA designated 243 rural veterinary shortage across 46 states.
I've read that. That's
wow.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I've had large animals. I've owned horses.
I've tended to horses in my
for a while. I had a Savannah cat.
Okay,
that's pretty neat.
That's
I've seen those like YouTube.
And I had some dealings with a Bengal tiger at one time.
Right.
With one of the gentlemen that I was a bodyguard for. And I can tell you this, that was in the late 80s. Just to take that tiger to the vet.
Oh, gosh.
Was a $5,000 bill.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Just to take it. That's not counting all of the other work that had to be done to it. That was a $5,000 bill, and that was
just a trip.
That was the local college, university of the area that had a amazing veterinary school.
Right.
And just for that was a $5,000 bill. Now, my Savannah cat was considerably less. You could take that to a regular vet, but they still charged a larger animal fee for that. And then I had a 17-foot Burmese python at one time.
Wow.
And there was only one vet that would see it.
That wasn't afraid of it. I'm kidding.
Stoney, come back on those that stat you just read on the designations of.
Okay. In fiscal 25, the USDA designated 243 rural veterinary shortage areas across 46 states, the most ever. And a little caveat to that is beef cattle regions are hit the hardest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
so that's 240 something like areas, not just like positions.
Yeah, it says right here, it says the United States has over 500 counties identified as having shortages of food animal veterinarians.
Wow.
Yeah.
73% have entered companion animal practice. Only 3 to 6% went into food animal, with 10% mixed.
I wonder if some of that's also like moral reasons, like people don't want to go into like the veterinary practice of like tending to cattle because of like modern stigma, vegan, vegetarian. Like I don't want to hurt.
I don't think so.
I think
maybe your generation.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. In this modern age, you have people in today's age graduating from college and like, okay, you're going to be a veterinarian. Do you want to go tend to pets or do you want to go tend to these abused animals? And I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe that's also like maybe that's something that's been brewing for the past 40 years. You know, maybe.
Well, one of the reasons they're saying this is debt, lifestyle, and pay drive choices. Even with a 2024 median vet wage around $125,000, long on-call hours, physically demanding work.
Oh, yeah.
That's another thing. The shoers. What do you call the guys that shoe the horses? Here comes my brain damage again. Crap.
The only thing I know is equestrian. When I think that's people like
there's a name for those men and women. I was going to say those guys, but can you Google that? And rural location makes large animal roles harder to fill. Loan to income pressures still matter despite improving ratios. Now, a lot of times when you have a herd of cattle, and I know this because when I was in Florida, I knew a guy that had thousands and thousands of Black Angus.
It says farrier.
Farrier. Yeah, farrier.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
No problem.
And he told me this, you know, the Black Angus is marketing.
Of course. It always is.
It's marketing. The cows are the same. It's just got white and black.
Right.
It's just marketing.
To me, it's more about what the cow eats.
Yeah.
That's where I would think quality of beef would come into play there.
But a vet didn't come out to give vaccinations. Vets didn't come out to give. I got 1,000 cattle, and they wind up doing that themselves. The vets come out when there's a problem.
Right.
Okay, I got a sick cow. I got this. So you go, you know, the vet needs to go to the site.
Right.
Has a trailer with everything, a hoist, that's a whole nother thing that small,
small animal vets will have to deal with all that.
No, you bring it in, throw it up on the table. If it's a crazy cat, then they put it in this little harness so you can clip its claws and not bite you with the little cone of, freedom on there. But it's really amazing because I kind of got involved with this guy because I was a manager of a job that was putting in an 8-mile force main. And this was in Florida. It was a 5,000 home, 3 golf course facility. Mm-hmm. They got all the permitting, but they said, you have to move your own poo-poo.
Okay.
So force main is moving poo-poo. And it was, so I found this spot about halfway in between, and we leased a nice little area from this guy. And he said, you have to leave the gravel and leave me a nice little parking area here, and you can just use it. And so one day I'm there early, and I heard this, son of a, just cussing and hooping and hollering. And I saw him a little bit later. I said, dude, what were you doing? He goes, I was cutting effing hay. And I was, why were you cussing? He says, because the hogs have rutted up all my hay fields.
Oh.
And so you want it smooth.
Yeah.
Because you're on this tractor that has no suspension.
No. Right.
And so the
you're
hogs
feeling everything.
Yeah, you're feeling everything. And the hogs had
and your
rutted
back
up.
is killing you by the time you get off of it.
Hold on. I think in Louisiana, if it's a nuisance animal, you can kill it. He says, oh, you can here too. All I need to do, you're a hunter, right?
Yeah.
All I have to do is give you a little piece of paper.
Yeah.
And it says you have permission to hunt hogs that are a nuisance to my fields. So he signed it.
Yeah.
84 acres. Okay,
Wow.
great.
All right.
Guy heard us shooting because we would go early.
Yeah.
And we would hunt the hogs. And then the guy across the street heard us. He had 400 and something acres.
Oh, no.
So he signed something.
Yeah, he's like, here.
And so we start collecting
Gotta
all
start
these
culling these herds of hogs
that's
out
what they
here.
were doing. And then all of a sudden, we have this limo pull up, and these SUVs pull up, and these rich people in this area have their own remote control jet airport.
Oh, gosh.
These aren't like the little bitty propeller remote controls. These are $20,000 jet.
Drone type jets.
I mean, and we're chasing the hogs to their landing strip. So they signed a little piece of paper. And then one day we're just being stupid. On Friday, Thursday night, we dug a hole, put the coals in it, started putting the pig in it. We're from Louisiana. We know what all this is. And then the owner shows up, and he comes with the owner of the facility, and he goes, "Why is that hole smoking over there?" And I says, "We cooking hogs. I'm sorry." He says, "Really? What time will it be done?" And he says, "I want that done at least once a month." And we were killing a number of hogs because me and a buddy of mine were killing the hogs. Then the helpers would come in. They would bring their wives and people. We would dress them. They'd take whatever we want. They could take whatever we want, and we was moving them hogs.
Yeah, good.
But the moral of the story is that guy took care of his herd of cattle.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now they called somebody when there was dire straits, a problem with the birth.
Right.
Something was going on, but they handled the vaccinations and things like that. So when you're getting called as a large animal vet, there's a reason for you to be there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm seeing here, they said, for example, in a 2-county area in New Mexico, one vet covers 40,000 heads of cattle.
Yeah, you see, that's insane.
Oh, my gosh.
That's insane.
That just shows you what's going on right now with this problem. And I'm surprised more issues have not reared its ugly head.
Well, I think that's what's going to start happening because you're going to have longer waits to get somebody there to help you. And if there's like a virus or bacteria or something that they can't stop right there, how far will it affect the herd now that they can't come right there and get to it?
Well, let's also say if one person's in charge of 40,000 heads of cattle, let's say on a good day, only 1% of those are having problems. That's still 4,000 cows. It's still a lot to take care of.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is what I call the behind the scenes part that really it doesn't make the news. All the news will show is, man, prices of eggs have skyrocketed,
of course.
or
That's all people
beef
care
has
about.
skyrocketed. They don't understand what's driving that, and part of that is this issue right now is is the amount of livestock that's being lost to disease and stuff because they can't get appropriate medical care to these animals soon enough before it's too late.
Yeah.
So they have to put them down. So it's just a bad situation right now. I said, jobs at one report estimates about 3.7 million livestock related jobs could be affected if the shortage persists. That's a lot. That's a lot of people that's losing jobs. And of course that has a cascading effect with other things. So, I mean, yeah, this is I literally had no idea that we had this issue right now. Matter of fact, I even looked kind of worldwide. Like, for example, in Africa, they said many countries face critical capacity gaps in veterinary services. Much of the on-the-ground animal health response relies on veterinary paraprofessionals and targeted donor UN programs to expand coverage. They said Africa already has the highest regional prevalence of undernourishment, 20.4% of people facing hunger. So livestock disease outbreaks or production shortfalls have outsized efforts on local food availability. So they're having some issues there. In the Asia and Pacific region, it said rapid livestock sector growth plus recurring high-impact diseases, ASF, HPAI, lumpy skin disease, strained veterinary systems. So they're having issues there. It says that Asia is a major producer of pork, poultry, and milk. Outbreaks for slow responses due to workforce shortfalls can remove large volumes of meat, eggs, milk from the market quickly and push up prices regionally and globally.
Interesting. I didn't realize they had the market on all that.
Yeah. It's they've got some issues here going on here. It's
I wonder if there's anything they can do to help, like, incentivize that kind of job, or they can make it more.
I mean, this basically goes back to, kind of this argument will go back is, where I think all of higher education needs to be kind of nationally. We have to get away from this kind of personal experience or kind of a personal approach to higher ed. I think there are some professions that should be subsidized. Obviously the veterinary, hey, we'll pay your vet bill if your vet school, if you'll go go into these rural areas that need large animal vets. That may be a strategy that could be employed. We don't need any more, vets seeing dogs and cats. So, I mean, that's definitely something that can be, I said they all kind of sources like the world animal health reports. The State of Food Security and Nutrition, that's another source. The Federation of Veterinarians of Europe. A lot of this, all this information is found there. So, I mean, it's they got some good stuff there. I mean, it's.
I think one of the things that we overlook too there is these are doctors.
Yeah.
And let me ask you a question. That's a $15 million horse.
Yeah.
And you're worth $225,000. So and that's the breakdown of the human body.
Right.
And when you have a racehorse that can make X amount of dollars every time it breeds, blah, 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 whose drugs do you want to take?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. The liability on giving a drug to that $15 million horse and killing it is a lot worse than giving it to this $250,000 body and I'm dying.
I know.
So I'd rather take those drugs, I'm thinking.
Right.
Because there was a joke a long time ago. A joke, guys.
Oh, yeah, quote unquote.
A joke.
Yeah.
That what were the 24-hour veterinarians back in the 80s and 90s that started?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
That was your old mob doctors that got busted for prescription stuff. They couldn't be human doctors, but they could become veterinarians
and still be able to write drugs.
And when you got shot or stabbed on accident,
right,
and you didn't want to go to the hospital,
you went to a vet.
You went to a vet in the middle of the night because that was the first supposedly the first 24-hour veterinarians.
Right.
What drugs would you rather take? I'd rather take the drugs designed for that $15 million horse than I would my little fat 50-pound body.
What drugs what drug has been in the news a lot lately over the
ivermectin.
Exactly, which was I believe was a horse.
Well, it was human and
but
animal.
It was originally designed for animals.
Or was it the other way around and they realized the potential and so they said it can only happen? But what most people didn't realize, even during COVID, you could go to Tractor Supply and get ivermectin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But that's the area I want to go into is, okay, now you've got, let's just say the average vet visit is 90 minutes to drive there, do what you got to do see it and drive back. Okay. That's just one. But now you're dealing with all of these drugs. How much paperwork is involved in that too?
Oh yeah, because
we're looking at, you got the veterinarian client patient relationship. You got to work on that. The DEA logs alone must be crazy because that's real. That's drugs that the DEA monitors.
Yeah.
And you still have to keep all your health certificates, your brand inspections, everything. It must just be crazy. When does your day end doing that kind of stuff? The little vet at the corner, doing your little chihuahua.
Yeah.
They got staff. They got, they're making enough money that they can pay, 2 or 3 people to be up front and deal all the paperwork and everything.
Well, there was a show. I mean, there's been a show on TV. It's kind of a long-standing show called Dr. Pole. I don't know if y'all know about that.
I think I've seen that,
yeah. He's a large animal vet, and it's kind of a reality show, and it basically follows his practice of going out to these farms and what he has to do. I mean, put the glove on and stick his hands all up into the cow's, rear end or the horse or whatever the case may be. But, those kind of guys, they just, there's not a whole lot of them going into vet school and kind of getting the expertise that's needed in today's society. It's just a lot of people say right now. They say roughly 1/3 of U.S. veterinarians are over 55 years old, with many in rural food animal practice. So generally, these older ones, this profession is aging out. They're aging out right now, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, it's just, there's the long hours, the burnout, the lifestyle, older vets.
And these younger generations just don't want to do that kind of work anymore.
There's older vets frequently worked long hours, lived in rural areas, and maintained an on-call availability because they were aware of the rural lifestyle of how farmers interacted with their animals and just kind of the situation with, hey, I got a cow going down. I think something's going on, because if you don't catch that, then it could spread to the other herd, and now next thing you know, you're losing the whole herd.
Yeah,
I mean that's
what I was saying earlier. How fast? I mean, if you can't get something fast, how bad is it going to affect your herd? And you hit 1% of your herd, 10% of your herd, you've lost a lot of money.
Didn't you say the average vet school debt? Did you mention that already? Yeah, I'm showing right here the average vet school debt of anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 for U.S. grads. So, you're incurring up to $200,000 probably. Could be more, maybe a little bit less, but that's a lot of money now that you got to make up.
Oh yeah,
and pay that off, and it's just, and if large animal vets are not making as much money.
Oh yeah.
Then how much longer is now you're paying that off.
We're talking they're kind of different things. Large animal and farm and ranch visits are they're the same, but they're a little different. Like the vet that handled that tiger was different than the farm animal. The farm call and visit fee is between $60 and $125 plus $20 to $325 per mile.
Oh, gosh.
To go out there and see them. And so, if it's a 70-mile trip, 35 each way, that's $140 to $228 added to the $125. And then you're quoting $160 an hour after that. So, and if you have any extras, it's $80 roughly. And this is averages. This is, from Bob and Mill Vet and just different places that, show this kind of stuff.
Right.
Then double it if it's after hours.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Basically, you just double it. And then plus, you have to add any of the drugs,
of course,
consumables, things like that. Because you're going to sedation, sutures, anything else that you have to do just adds to it too.
That's crazy.
And then think about this. What if it's more than 70 miles?
Oh, no.
We were talking about one guy was covering, a couple of parishes or counties or something. That can add up quick.
I wonder if there's anything happening like right now. Is the government doing anything right now to make this?
I don't think. I haven't seen anything.
I think just the opposite. I think that's what they want. I think they may be even encouraging this. Think about the Biden crime family and the egg fiasco. And now you got Bill Gates wanting to do all this fake meat stuff. They would just be happy if all the cows died or nobody was there to take care of them. I think it would be just the opposite. That's just me,
right,
considering, what's happening with the UN, the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization. I think they would just be happy with it.
I'm right now reading an article. This article came out, and it shows it's talking to different vets, but they said on average, this particular vet said Dr. Rachel Miner, a mixed animal veterinarian in eastern Kansas, a 60-mile drive to a farm call isn't unusual. It's become the reality of the job. She says she treats everything from household pets to herds of 1,500 cattle, understanding that her work is more about than just animal welfare. And this is what's staggering. A 2023 Johns Hopkins report reveals a staggering statistic. Since the end of World War II, the U.S. has lost 90% of its food animal vets.
Wow.
Why
the U.S. government has now designated official shortage areas, which we kind of mentioned earlier, in 46 out of 50 states.
Wow. And it's like, I wonder why that is. What is the cause
I think
of that?
what's happening is you have most vets right now. The large animal vets are mostly represented in the boomers and the Gen X, and then millennials because of the high debt and I hate to say it, the more urbanized our society has become, you have less young people that find the rural life desirable.
Yeah.
It just is. It's just a different lifestyle, and most people want to live in cities where it's hip and, they got all the modern conveniences next to them and, the coffee shops and the museums and, all the things where we can sit around the table and enjoy those things. But, it just, we've as a society, we've just gradual, moving away from the urban, the rural lifestyle.
There's a couple of things that I keep coming up to this page on the UN thing. They want to limit access to wild spaces. They want to ban all natural medicine, end of private farms, vegetable gardens, and end of animal ownership. This is getting crazy. This is right up their alley. This is what they want. That's just crazy.
Well, like here in Pike County, Illinois, and the number of full-time vets has plummeted from 5 to just 1.
Oh my!
Serving 1,000 farms.
Oh no! And how many animals does one farm have?
Yeah, you just
because at that point you're talking about astronomical amounts.
They said the Illinois Department of Agriculture reports that cattle have died simply because veterinary services were not available at the time. So that's what I'm saying. You get one sick, and there's a window, and then once it gets past that window, it's
just like humans as well. If you can't be seen in a timely manner, is what it is.
Yeah, they said the shortage has profound implications for the safety and stability of America's food supply. It's absolutely critical, says Brad White, director of the Beef Cattle Institute at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine. He stresses that healthy livestock cared for by veterinarians are essential to protecting both the animals and the people who depend on them.
Yeah. That's so crazy.
And they say in 2022, a bird flu outbreak serves as a stark reminder. As the virus swept through poultry farms, millions of chickens were culled. This is what led to the whole thing with the egg prices.
Yes.
Remember all that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and why don't you pull up how many chickens actually died from it?
Well, it says here, as the virus swept through the poultry farm, millions of chickens were culled. It says, while the vet shortage didn't cause the outbreak, experts say robust veterinary care is key to preventing and containing such events. So, but it's just, we're just not, here you're talking about what is the government doing? Here's a perfect thing here. It says to combat the crisis, federal and state governments are stepping in with solutions aimed at easing the financial burden. The Federal Veterinary Medicine Loan Repayment Program offers up to $25,000 in student loan reimbursement for vets who commit to working in designated shortage areas for at least 3 years. However, the program is highly competitive, with fewer than 1/2 of applicants receiving the reward each year.
Wow.
So it says, seeing the need, institutions like Kansas State University have created their own localized incentives. Kansas State's program forgives 25% of a graduate's loan for each year they practice in rural Kansas for up to 4 years.
Okay.
They said the results are promising. He said there has been 93% of them have completed their 4-year obligation, says White. More importantly, 15 years going, 83% of them are in rural practice in Kansas today. So they're staying.
Okay.
Which is a good sign.
Yeah. That's good to hear.
So
I wonder if Louisiana could do something like that.
Well, you'd have to maybe pull up Louisiana, Louisiana veterinary statistics, large animal, to see what's going on. They said, despite these efforts, the challenge remains immense. The American Veterinary Medical Association reported that the number of mixed and food animal vets shrank by another 15% in 2023.
Gosh.
They said, while programs like K-States are vital steps, experts agree that a broader, sustained effort is needed to ensure the health of America's livestock. So, it's just man,
that's at least at least some things are being done, I guess. I wonder which of our states have like large majority livestock usage like that, like potentially like Kansas City. I'm not sure what Louisiana looks like as far as like
I'm looking at
livestock.
The USDA put this notice out on September 3rd, 2025. So this month.
Okay. That's recent, yeah.
They basically, rural areas are struggling. The USDA has determined nearly every U.S. state has at least one rural or livestock producing region lacking adequate veterinary services. It basically says, in the interest of maintaining animal public health, food and safety, the ability to prevent, the U.S. is launching the Rural Veterinary Action Plan, an initiative to increase the number of rural food animal veterinarians across the U.S. and recruit new veterinarians to join the agency, according to an August 28 announcement.
Okay,
so there is obviously there's awareness.
Yeah,
I think they're trying to do some things, but once again, it's just money.
Of course,
to throw at you, Louisiana's cattle inventory is between 800 and 900,000 as of January 1st, 2025. So it's sizable.
Yeah.
That's pretty significant. I'm sure there's a couple other states with more.
Of course.
But for Louisiana, that's fairly sizable.
Mm-hmm.
It says here, grant funding says data from the American Association of Veterinary Medical Colleges estimate that only 20% of first-year students come from rural backgrounds, with a similar percentage expressing interest in rural practice. Further, the AVMA estimates that in 2024, just 3.4%, that's 3,424 of the total U.S. veterinary workforce, which is about 130,415, according to this statement, were employed in a food animal practice, 5.9% into the equine practice, and 9.6% into mixed animal practice.
Okay, I got some more Louisiana stuff if y'all want to hear it.
Yeah.
The Louisiana Vet Med expansion, in quotes, Louisiana moved to nearly double its class size. Target is approximately 200 students by 2024, citing the shortages in rural large animal practice. They're having an early admit rural track. LSUA and the LSU Vet Med created an early admission pathway for students aiming at rural, agricultural, and livestock medicine. And then incentives. USDA incentives present can pay up to $40,000 a year for 3 years for veterinarians who serve in Louisiana shortage areas. The clinics are, and you can apply to the VSGP to get those grants. So they are doing something like that. So they're trying to keep them here. So
yeah, that's interesting.
Yes, in the past, here I'm reading this deal here. The Veterinary Services Grant Program, the VSGP, they gave help expand veterinary practice in rural areas of Mississippi. $125,000 was awarded to Dr. Kimberly Klunk, who will serve Mississippi veterinary shortages in Adams, Franklin, and Lincoln counties.
Whole counties.
Whole county. The grant will support a community needs assessment as well as buy new tools to provide advanced livestock reproductive services and new transportation for farm calls. Another $125,000 was given to Dr. Rachel W. McGurty, who will serve Mississippi veterinary shortages in Newton and Scott counties. Once again, kind of similar stuff. They said in the past, the VSGP grants have been awarded to universities and veterinary practices working to address shortages of food animal veterinary services across the nation. In 2024, 25 grants totaling $3.8 million were issued.
Okay.
As of July 1st, 2025, there are 94.2 million heads of cattle in the U.S.
Oh my gosh!
And if you think, and Louisiana has almost a million. Yeah, almost a million.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. They said the USDA says it will make up an additional $15 million available in funding for additional qualified applicants to serve in rural areas. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When you read about this is where my beef with how higher ed is set up into this.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. It just to me, when you have a problem, it's staring you in the face.
Yes.
I mean, we can fix this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just systematically looking at society and going, where are the problem areas?
Yeah.
And do it. But it just seems to be an issue with
as
this.
we've talked about so far. I think it seems to be a number of things, like we've said before, with incentives and money and of course area and things like that. It seems like there's a lot of things that I think kind of work against this profession. So the more little things like this, I think you can add to that, makes it a little bit more enticing.
I did this for you, Ian. Texas has 12 million. Nebraska 6 million. Kansas 6 million. California has 5 million. Oklahoma 4.6 million. Missouri 3.9 million. Iowa and South Dakota about 3.5. Wisconsin 3.2. Colorado has 2.5. And then it just kind of varies down. We're not even up in that group yet.
Yeah.
Kentucky 1.8.
Like Texas, for instance, that's a lot of cattle. That's a lot of stuff. I mean, which again makes sense. I would imagine. Obviously it's Texas. Yeah. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah, well, Texas is a big state.
But of course.
And
but
Florida, where I was, has 1.5 million.
Dang.
Arkansas has 1.5. New York has 1.4. Pennsylvania has, and I kind of see Pennsylvania because of the rural farm stuff. They got 1.3.
Well, I mean, a lot of those states up north that all you hear about are the big cities that are located in those states, but a lot of those states are very rural.
Oh, yeah.
And, I can see
I'm not going to lie, I don't know a whole lot about New York State in its entirety.
Oh, I got another stat for you.
Okay.
I figured this would be coming from our resident statistician over there. 550 million chickens.
Here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In the U.S.
Oh, in the U.S.
Given
okay.
time. Yep.
Okay. 550 million.
But they produce 9.3 billion every year.
That actually seems a lot lower than I was about.
Billion?
Billion?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yeah, they do 9.3 billion. But all let me rephrase that. All chickens on farms.
Okay.
Are 514 million. But like the ones that put out all the chicken is 9.3 billion. Maybe I said that wrong.
No,
I'm sorry.
Because I was going to say
two different statistics.
Right. That was what I was getting confused by because I was like, man, 550 million does sounds like a very small amount of chickens for amount of chicken that I know we probably consume on a weekly basis. But okay, wow. So 550 million is what produce potentially a lot of the eggs or all the eggs.
Well, and that may be the other ones too. I don't know. That's just crazy.
That sounds about right. But man, that's interesting. We go through a whole lot of chickens. I know that. In this household specifically, we go through a lot of chicken, I guess.
Yeah, but they're trying. I mean, there are strategies that are out there to try to deal with this issue, but I think they're going to have to put more resources toward this if they really want to get people to, as I said, like I mentioned that stat earlier, like 20% come from rural areas. So it's only natural that people that come from rural areas are going to be drawn to the rural lifestyle.
Of course.
But that leaves you, the other 80%.
Yeah.
Are coming from living in cities, and all they know is...
And then I'm also not thinking, like, what is the alternative incentive for being a pet doctor? Like, I'm just trying to
make more money.
What I'm trying to say is, like, if hold on. If you already live in a city environment, and you go to college to do like veterinary work, and you know for a fact you can work in a clinic or potentially own a clinic for yourself, and make crazy, because for a fact everybody's got some kind of pet, and they, of course, a lot in the modern age, we've had episodes about this where people are willing to do, I think, more for their pets than they were in history. I'm just trying to think about, again, I'm not saying it's one's better than the other, but again, if you're going to be choosing two directions, I think some people emotionally maybe weighed more towards like, I'll help people's pets, and they're willing to pay an arm and a leg for it.
Yeah, but the problem is that's not putting food on
I
the
know
table.
You're right, but
I guess if it got bad enough, it would. But it's unfortunate. But as I said, to further understand the problems, the USDA will be holding listening sessions between now and October 1st, 2025. So they're having these conversations as we record this podcast. Hear from stakeholders, determine what additional actions can be taken.
Again,
to try to reverse these
pun
trends.
intended. Stakeholders. Sorry.
I went into it a little bit better. It's as of September, the U.S. had 366 million laying hens.
Okay.
And Louisiana slices about 1.9 million of that number.
Got it.
So roughly 2.6 million total chickens on farms when you include pullets and other chickens, excluding broilers. Okay. So the nationwide industry turns over 9.33 billion broiler birds a year.
Yeah.
I clarified that up.
9.3 billion sounds like the correct amount of chickens for United States of America, I think, when I start to think about it. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Wow, that's a lot of chickens.
That's a lot of cows, too, if you think about it.
You're right.
Yeah, but you got to have those numbers to be able to provide that, basically when we head to the grocery store, that there's a selection of beef there. I mean, it's just...
That's what I was saying, because I was like, I know for a fact this household right here, I consume a lot of chicken personally. So that's what I was saying.
I do too. Chicken and fish primarily. Yeah. I try not. I don't consume a lot of red meat, but I do love a good steak and stuff like that.
I treat myself with a steak every now and then. I like it.
But I'm not I don't eat a lot of red meat.
I love a good steak.
Oh man,
I love.
Don't
a
get
good
me wrong.
if a vegan is outside cutting their grass, do they feel the same way that I do when I'm barbecuing a steak?
No, it's whenever they're ripping heads of lettuce.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this was I like this. Yeah. I think.
What do y'all think?
I think Jason did good on this one.
Well, so. I mean, it's what it is. So it's. I thought, I thought this also might have been a good episode to just to possibly even get a vet.
I halfway through this
I think would have been cool to be able to land a vet and have them come in and share their personal experience to really get a large animal vet.
That's what I'm saying. Is there someone we could probably reach out to? Because that's a cool thing to come back to, especially with all the apparently it sounds like there's things happening.
Yeah, there's happening stuff right now. So
how cool would it be to try and talk to somebody in this field and see what they got to say about it?
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, kind of similar to the one we have with the mortician.
Oh yeah,
that would be cool to be able to find that. I don't know of a large animal vet. I really don't.
Well, I don't mean this as a slight, but it doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of them. So
no, there's not. I'd be very curious if there's what are the large animal vets around me? I mean, or some of the vets that are working in clinics.
Yeah,
are they also large animal vets where they do travel and go look at? I would think most. I don't know. I'd have to look at I'd be very curious. I'm sure the genders of the ratio of men and women when it comes to large animal vets.
Oh, yeah.
Are they mostly men or are they mostly women? Because I would think women are probably more, you would find, I would just think logically, you would find more of that in more of the urban areas dealing with your cats and dogs.
Yeah.
Whereas out on the farm, it would probably be more men that were doing it. But I don't know if that's true or not.
The only thing I have to go off of, like I had said earlier, the people in my life that I know personally, firsthand, that have gone into veterinary work have been young women that have gone into local pet veterinarian stuff.
Okay, so, one more.
But that doesn't mean anything. But
in last year, the U.S. had 75 million hogs and pigs. But the Louisiana herd is tiny by comparison to only about 5,500 heads.
And that's like
producing. That's not just
wild
pigs.
Hogs. I was going to say,
no, because we got plenty of those too. But that's like what they're using to produce food and stuff like that for us.
Interesting.
There's
there's
the breeding herd in the U.S. There's a breeding herd of 6 million. And the market hogs was 69 million.
Dang.
So they're breeding fast, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I'm pulling up stuff here talking about the gender.
I was pulling the same thing up. I was talking while I was pulling it
up. I'm seeing here, it says in 2023, it says 67% of employed U.S. veterinarians were female.
Okay.
32% were male, which that to me is that's just kind of wild.
Yeah.
The newest grads coming out are 81 women, 17 men.
God.
Yeah, they said historically men are much more likely than women to enter exclusively large animal practice, which would make sense.
Well, mixed animal is 47% women, 53 men. Food animal exclusive is 25 women, 75% men. And the equine veterinarians, I guess horses, that would be 60 women, 40% men.
Wow.
Yeah. So here's a source from Fun Facts. Covitris, 2018, reported that in private practice among veterinarians working with food animals, 76% were male, 23% were female. As that among equine vets, the gender ratio is more balanced or even female leaning. In 2021, around 56.5% of equine veterinarians were female.
Wow.
They said, I don't know, some qualitative work. And this is where you got to careful with some of this data. Some qualitative work suggests sexism or bias in rural areas discourages or limits female veterinarians in those settings. I don't know if I necessarily...
Yeah, how does that work?
I mean, to me, a farmer, regardless of can you save my cow, whether you're male or female, I don't... But
fun fact, Louisiana's workforce gender is not split publicly. It's not posted publicly.
Okay.
But the pipeline at LSU is strongly female majority, 80-20. So.
Well, I mean, most females, you're going to find the colleges are predominantly female now. I think it's just like the university setting is tailored more to female learning than it is men. And I think that's what you're starting to see now, why you see the numbers when it comes to higher ed with heavily skewed female versus males. I think that's showing in a lot of how that kind of extrapolates out.
Yeah.
I think there's kind of what's driving a lot of the politics in our country too. But yeah, we are, I mean, it's we got an issue, with this, and
well, one of the things though we're looking at is the younger generation. What do you got? Millennial, Gen Z, Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
A lot of the Gen Z and Gen Alpha are looking more toward the rural things. They're looking in that direction. They're looking a little bit more conservative. They're looking toward that getting out of the city type thing. There's a lot of stuff you can see on the internet right now. They're buying these rural homes. They're going a little further out from these cities, and that's kind of encouraging there.
I've known some people to... I've noticed also an uptick in people that are basically becoming farmers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
People are, I want to grow my own crops. I want to have my own animals. And, the corporate takeover of our food supply. Now, that's a whole different topic. And I
did some research recently finding out that, like, about the whole, like, if you produce... fruit or you produce food in a certain way, you can't, like, the seeds that come from your fruit, you can't actually, like, replant those, like, because of like restrictions on it or whatever. And I've do some research on it. It's pretty crazy. Like the it's I don't know what causes it, but there's like a I saw it briefly in a video of like a lot of like your harvest, you can't replant from the harvest that you made because of restrictions with your crop, your livestock, or harvest, or whatever it is, and that kind of stuff. It's pretty crazy, but like that kind of stuff too, where it's like I think there's a lot of it that's like restricted upon like what you can and can't do.
Like government restricted?
I believe so. Let me look it up real quick.
That's crazy. Yeah, because this is a free country. You can't tell me what I can and can't do.
They'll penalize you for it. That's a big thing. Is that farmers can't. Let's see.
Well, I can understand bringing in bulls from other areas, and I think that's actually common practice because you don't want a lot of inbreeding because that can decimate herds too. So, man.
Agricultural laws, patents, and contracts significantly restrict or prohibit commercial farmers from saving certain seeds or for replanting them. It says that patented seeds, it is illegal to save and replant any seeds. that has a utility patent, which is common for.
They want you to buy the seeds from the people. That's what it is. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Right. So a lot of times there's and the amount of things that have patents on certain seeds is astronomical. To where, like, again, you can't replant any of the seeds that you really, from what it says. Like, there's a lot of genetically modified stuff and a lot of stuff that I'm not going to go into all this. Again, this maybe this
I
is
understand that. Yeah, I don't understand it, but I understand that.
Right, yeah.
I think it's stupid.
So, anyways, but it's all to restrict on people, planting too much of a certain thing or whatever, and it just
turn around and replanting next
year
without having to buy the seeds.
Or making their own making their own money instead of giving it to the people who own the patents, which I think is ridiculous to patent seeds. That's or plants themselves. But yeah, I get it. So,
well,
yeah, you're talking about younger people getting into this kind of farming and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there is right now. I feel a kind of a pushback on the urbanization of our life, and I think people are wanting to get out and have land and
I think a lot of that started around the COVID time when there was a food shortage and things like that, and people are going, well, I could go grow my own cucumbers,
right?
If I had a little bit more land, and I even have a book that's amazing. That's how to grow for your family with 1/4 of an acre.
Oh yeah,
and things like that. And it's just interesting. If you have 4 or 5 acres. You technically would never have to go to a grocery store again,
right?
If you could can and do your own stuff.
The problem is getting those skill sets back, because there is a skill set in farming.
We talked about that in a past episode, that a lot of what skills you should have, but we don't. Was that the title of it?
I think so, or something like that.
Something like that.
I don't remember,
but
you're right.
That's the thing, and I think people are looking back to that now.
I've worked with a few religious organizations in the past that have done like a community garden thing, that have made like a whole bunch of stuff and then have like turned that over into like a food bank or giving it away to the community. So it's like even same thing of like small plot of land, having enough people that are willing to work on it. You can make a whole bunch of food out of it in a very short amount of time. And so even I'm saying that because I've seen it firsthand of like you can have about yay much of land and be able to kind of have people to work on it. And you can, there was a time whenever they had, literally they had so many tomatoes. They were just like, here, take a Walmart bag full of tomatoes. And I was like, okay, cool. So,
right before the accident, Miranda and I were looking at 26 acres somewhere.
Oh, my gosh.
And I really wish we'd have got that. And I think she might be questioning it now, too, except it was probably would have been about a 45 to 50-minute drive into town to the big town every day. But it was adjacent to a great friend of mine who had 75 acres.
Oh, my gosh.
So that would have been like 100 acres.
Yeah.
And there was blackberries and just ponds and everything, multiple fruit trees everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking there was this one little opened area that it was open. Now, the whole area was pretty much forested.
Of course.
But there was one area, and they have those, I forgot the company that has those solar panels that open up like a big flower. Mm-hmm. And when there's a storm, they close up to protect them.
Yeah.
I said, if you'd have put 4 or 5 of those up, you could have just said bye-bye to the energy and everything and just work the land.
Even the big craze now with sourdough. I feel like sourdough is kind of blowing up right now. Where I have some friends of mine who've been getting into it, or I said getting into it. They've been doing it for a few years now.
Sourdough is amazing. That really took a leading edge back in the pioneer days, because if you had something, it had to serve multiple purposes.
Right.
With sourdough, and you had the starter.
Yep.
You could make your bread, your biscuits, your pancakes, whatever. But it also made glue. It also made other things.
Yeah. Right.
So it served multiple purposes.
I have 2 friends.
Oh, good sourdough pancakes. Have you ever had
sourdough?
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I ate sourdough bread.
One of the people I'm talking about
my mom
is like
used to do that. Oh.
She makes a bunch of sourdough stuff now, and it was around the turn of like COVID, when all that kind of stuff happened, that she kind of picked up this hobby. There's a couple of friends of mine that do this.
I may get with you and see if I can get a starter from her. I want to do it again.
She's been doing a bunch of baking and trying a bunch of cool new things, and she makes these big sourdough cinnamon rolls. It makes her own icing glaze, whatever. I had one. I'm a sucker for a cinnamon roll, so she had them, and they're like these really nice. And I had them, and I was like, man, this is so good. So, anyways, but it's that kind of stuff too, of like this kind of going back to like, I can just make my own bread.
Going back to 3 or 4 ingredients instead of almost.
I mean, this is basically going back. As I said, I do believe the COVID change. I think it exposed the vulnerability of our modern society.
Yeah,
that we have just become so utterly dependent on the grocery store. And all it takes is a disruption of about a week.
Yep.
And there's just nothing left in there. I mean,
or just a scare. Again, we know hurricane stuff here. We're like, if there's even a whisper of a hurricane, you better. I mean,
everybody's is hoarding everything.
Oh yeah, and all the bread is gone. Again, like I said,
what if you can make your own?
That's what I'm saying. You just say the word
KitchenAid mixers. We have one. And I've been doing a lot of research on it. I've been thinking about trying some stuff with it. But it has a grain mill on it to where you can buy whole grain.
Oh, my gosh.
And mill your own grain and make real bread. Instead of having flour that's bleached,
of course,
enriched, and processed, make your own.
Yeah.
I really want it. I want to get that. I want to get that thing and try that. I'm scared because with my brain and forgetting stuff, I can't tell you how many dinners I've burned because I just forget I'm cooking. But I think that would be fascinating to try some of those real old breads, do the sourdough thing.
Oh, yeah.
I may want to see if your buddy can hook me up with a starter because that's what it is.
Yeah.
You have a starter and you grow it and then you go from there. And you take this amount out to do your biscuits, and this amount out, and it just keeps growing.
She has a whole side gig now. That's like her whole side business is doing baking. Where she
maybe we could get her on.
Maybe
reach out to her, please, sir. Please, because that would be kind of fun.
There's a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of cool things I've learned.
Information you can get on the Retrospect podcast.
I don't. This is not like a fact, but I've heard her talk about potentially trying to go to like a farmer's market and like sell her stuff, sell her pastries, sell her things that she's made, and she's tried to, I think, co-opt me into making cookies so that way she could sell them, we
definitely want her on the show.
There's always an angle there.
We need to have somebody else bugging you about these cookies.
She makes her own cookies, and she's like, they're really great, but they're not your cookies. And I was like, well, I appreciate that. And she's like, maybe we could
collab.
Maybe we could partner up.
Collab,
and I was like, maybe you're right. So, anyways, we've had a lot of fun talking about that because she makes some really good stuff. So, but anyways, it's like we've talked about. It's interesting to see how trying new things and, like you said, again, especially around here, anywhere in the Gulf states, I feel like you just say the word hurricane too loud and bread disappears.
It does.
And right. And then and so I can only imagine being able to just like make your own bread. It sounds pretty cool. So.
Well, you have your generators pushing your refrigerator and your freezers, and you don't want to really open them up a lot in case you run out of gas because everybody's hoarding the gas, and so you got an ice chest with the luncheon meat and things. So the bread, you're going to need lots of bread.
Yeah. Well, and again, I have a gas stove, so I mean, a lot of times for me, I can just, there's been times where we've lost power for not too terribly long, but I can still cook food if we needed to. So that's been nice.
Well, that's one of the things I like about having all the barbecue pits and the big pots and I just hook a little propane up. I can cook anything I want, except on the pit. I do not use propane on the pit. That is only lump coal and wood. I do not use lighter fluid.
Hear me now, people in the barbecue community.
I don't need to get 15 to 100. What are you doing?
This episode has a whole lot of comments on that. But like, another thing too is, because I don't live too terribly far away from like the energy distributor of our area, I'm usually not out of power for very long because the second that
you're lucky then.
I know I am. That's why I always count.
You're on the right grid.
There must be some representative or something else that lives in this area, because
maybe.
Yeah,
I think
they're,
a lot of that,
they're going to make sure they have the power.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
If you can be on where the hospital grid is, that's what you want to be on, because they're going to be up first.
Yeah. Well, this is a cool episode.
Yep. I hope y'all enjoyed it.
Like we said at the beginning of this episode, we're going to do this for like the next probably 2 episodes. I'm going to get the next one. I think Stoney has the last one. We're going to have a topic that neither one of the people are going to know about. And so I'm still trying to like formulate what I have an idea of what mine's going to be. But I'm trying to get some things all lined up for that. So be looking forward to our next little. I think we called it a throwback episode. I think that's what our little.
This was something when the show first started.
Yeah.
With X-Man. Only one person knew what the topic was.
Yeah.
And you just dropped it on the other two, and you waited to see what the responses were. That's where we found out that Alien wants to have sex with aliens and stuff like that.
I thought that bit was dead a long time ago.
No, it's actually not.
Oh gosh, that's not true.
No, actually, it's kind of funny, because if I can find this, this
new
review,
listeners of the show are like, "What in the heck is he talking about?"
Huh? There was somebody who wrote in and said that they were listening to one of our episodes and then said, "Don't be surprised if Ian is dressed like you tomorrow. Have a safe abduction."
No,
because we were talking about. He says, "I listened to one of those early episodes when you were picking on him about having sex with aliens." That's from Joe from Texas. Thank you, Joe. So it's still coming up. People still want to know.
Listen back to the episode. That's not what I said. If I'm not mistaken, I think I said I was cautiously optimistic, but that's all I said. But
of course, me and X-Man were able to turn that into something else.
Of course.
That's awesome.
But yes, I'm excited for these next couple episodes. It's been nice, obviously, as the show has evolved and changed. We've added new things, we've changed stuff, and being able to research topics, I think, was a very important part of this show. But every now and then, it's kind of nice to try a little something different. And,
maybe we could do this like once a year. Maybe. Just a throwback thing, toss out a couple
something
things.
Fun. It keeps us on our toes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, until next week, thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
As we've seen, this is not just a story about veterinarians. It's a story about the fragile web that connects rural communities, farmers, animals, and the food we eat every day. The veterinary crisis is a generational tale of seasoned practitioners retiring with decades of hard-earned knowledge, of younger vets weighed down by debt and drawn away from the barns to the city clinics, and of a widening gap that threatens the very backbone of our food supply. The crisis also brings choices. Will we invest in training, incentives, and infrastructure to rebuild the veterinary workforce? Will we create pathways that make rural practice sustainable, attractive, and valued? Or will we allow the cracks to widen until they become the fault lines that shake our food security? So the next time you sit down for a meal, remember, behind the farmer, behind the rancher, stands a veterinarian, and behind them, a system in crisis. The question now is whether we, as a society, have the will to mend it before it's too late. Goodbye, everyone, and God bless.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. You're the best. Peace.